Hello and welcome to the side quest. Blah, blah, blah. I'll start that again, shall I? Hello and welcome to the Side Quests podcast. You're here with your host Ben
and your other host Ollie.
Hi guys, hi everybody. Lovely to have you listening along. So if this is your first time listening, then this is the Side Quest podcast where we talk about all sorts of wargaming type stuff. We talk about things that interest us that might not kind of sit on our own respective YouTube channels. So yeah, and it's an opportunity for us to discuss and chat with each other about topics that do interest us.
I get to sit and chat to my buddy as well for like an hour at midnight, one day a week. So it's pretty nice. You know?
It is not,
it's a break.
Not too far off midnight here. But as I say, thank you for joining us. And this week, our topic, and now Ollie has got quite a lot of experience with this, but running your own, or the truth about running your own Warhammer shop. So I think there's quite a lot to get into this week. This is episode 8 as well, isn't it? Ollie, can you believe that we've done 8 in a row? We've not missed
8 and we haven't missed one. Mate, that's more videos than you've done all year.
I know. In the last 8 weeks.
Might be.
It genuinely is. It actually is. I think I've done like 6 or something this year.
What a fake YouTuber.
I know. I'm not a YouTuber anymore. I don't class myself as a YouTuber anymore. I'm a podcaster.
I'm just going to reiterate. I think you said you'd have a video out before like 2 videos ago.
Yes.
Has that happened?
It's not out, but it's ready. It's actually sat there. I sent it off. It's not necessarily a sponsor, but somebody sent me some stuff a good while ago now. I'm not going to say exactly how long ago. But yeah, I sent it off.
Was it a year ago?
It might have been.
Is the business still in existence?
The business is still in existence, yes. And they're doing incredibly well despite me being really, really slow. So that will be out.
Worst influencer ever. Nice.
That will be out this week. It will already be out by the time this podcast goes out. 100%, definitely. No
really?
Messing. Yes, 100%.
Genuinely?
Yeah. It'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow evening is my plan. So Friday evening, about 5, 6
So
o'clock.
2 days before this goes out, that your video should be out. So everyone go and check Benji's Hobbies YouTube after this, obviously, and go and check him out and see if he actually did a video. If you didn't, leave him horrible comments.
Where are they going to leave the horrible comments? Because there's not going to be a video there to leave horrible,
on an old video.
On another video. Go watch all my other back catalogue anyway. Then that'll do it.
Well, that's good.
So that's ready. And so what have you been up to this week anyway? Because we like to have a little bit of a catch up, don't we, as to what we've been getting up to in the last week or so. So yeah, what's been on your agenda?
Now I don't think I've spoken to you like this, like over the phone or anything, since last podcast, right? When we had Dave on from MS Paints. And
wasn't that a lovely episode?
That was a great episode. It did really well as well for us. It's nice, and it was good. It was nice, honest, positive chat about Golden Demon and Paint. If you didn't listen to it, go listen to it. It's a great episode. They're all great episodes, but that one was particularly good.
Yeah.
So I've not spoken to you. Obviously, we message that every single day. You're basically my like work wife, or you're just my boyfriend.
Well, what can I say?
And that's it. So what have I been up to since then? Well, we've had a pretty hectic week here. It is now the last week leading up to December. We're in the big build up to Christmas in the shop. So the shop is my main job. I do YouTube on the side. Kira streams, and we just got an 8-month-old baby. He's 8 months now, actually. My God. I keep saying 7, but he's 8. He's gone over 8 months now.
That's crazy.
So he's there. So it's been a pretty mental week. We didn't get any sleep for like a full week. He was learning new skills, new pointless, worthless skills that just keep you up all night. So it's been pretty rough. But we had a couple of nights sleep, and then today I had to ship. Or we and my staff and that we had to ship. I say my staff, my one staff member, because Kira doesn't work at the shop anymore, basically because she's on maternity leave forever. So we had to do all the Christmas boxes from Games Workshop. So that's all the Dark Angels, the Imperial Knights, the Tower. That's normally a pretty busy day. Wow. On the same day, the Halo game from Mantic landed. So all those had to go as well. Plus we were on a Black Friday sale. So all of that had to go. So it's been a pretty hectic. I ran out of boxes. I had to go around town finding boxes from other shops. Went to a couple of shops and they were like, who I'm friendly with, they're like, oh, we've got none either. We've just been to the other shop and got them from them. I was like, you bastards. So it's shop scrabble week because UPS are too slow to give me boxes.
That's crazy. Well, that's good. It sounds like it's great. Did you sell out of the boxes?
Yeah, some of them. Yeah, Dark Angels and Imperial Knights went quickly.
Yeah.
Tau have gone. The rest are still there, but I don't tend to overorder on the AOS ones.
Yeah.
This is my 4th year now. Fourth Christmas. Third Christmas. So I think from experience, that some of them stick around longer than others, or Wrecker Mobs and stuff, not as popular as Dark Angels. So that's been a busy day. I've had a video Did I have a video go out last week? I did. I had a video go out where I painted 90 Space Marines using modern paint techniques. The inverse of one I did a year ago. It was good fun. And then I've got a Necromunda, OG Necromunda video, which should be out like now when this podcast goes out, but it may be tomorrow if you're watching this.
Nice.
So Sunday on Monday that goes out. Yeah, I'd say that's about it, which is quite enough, really.
I was going to say you've done enough. You have done enough.
Oh, we have a work experience lad in as well. I've done been able to offer a student work experience in the shop, which is a wonderful feeling, really, because it's lovely to be able to offer someone who's passionate about that. I've actually known him. He came in the shop when he was about 12 or 13. Now he's like 16, 17 or something, and he's on work experience with schools. So that's kind of a unique, a weird experience. It's kind of cool to be able to do that. I've got a photography student in as well, so it's lovely to be able to like do that for people, for the community, really. So we've had that in. Yeah, I think that's it. That's loads. What about you? What have you been up to?
Busy week.
Busy week.
So yeah, I've had a little bit of a kind of time to do a bit of hobby over the. Well, I say hobby, a little bit of filming over the last couple of days, and filming stuff that I'm really like excited about. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it yet, and I'm not allowed to say that I'm not allowed to talk about it either. So I might have to cut this bit.
No, you can do that. That's fine. This is coming out Sunday anyway, so this is the day after.
So yeah, this is So, but yeah, so yeah, there's stuff in the works. I had somebody.
Are you on an NDA list, Benji? Is that what you're saying?
No. I had somebody over to help me do some filming.
I used to be on one of them.
Did you? With who?
I got dropped.
Did you? Do you want to change the topic and have a rant about that?
That's a different video.
Oh, okay, right, okay. What was I saying? Yeah, so yeah, been doing it filming. Had a friend over yesterday as well to do a quick bit of filming with. So that was really exciting. It's not something I've really done on my channel before. Is have like other people. I've done like collabs and stuff with other people, but it's not I've never really had like somebody like almost co-hosting a video with me. So that was really, really nice. And I'm hoping that people enjoy that sort of content because it was relatively easy to make. It was enjoyable. And I think it's one of those that I feel like I could do that a little bit more frequently. Like, I think we're going to do an episode around the sort of struggles with YouTube and things in a future episode, aren't we? I think that is a topic I think not necessarily people don't understand, but you know, they don't necessarily see the pressures and the mental pressure that YouTube sometimes does put on you.
I think YouTube is probably the worst thing for like your mental health. So,
it's god awful.
Certainly something to talk about.
God awful.
Awful.
Yeah, but let's we'll save that one for a future video. So if you guys do want to hear that, then let us know down in the comments because you know we're always after ideas of things to talk about, and you know if there's something that you want us to talk about as well, you know we're happy to talk about it. So a couple of thank yous that I want to sort of throw out there to people. So first, that big thanks to Dave who came on last week, Dave from MS Paints. That was a wonderful episode. It's always nice talking to Dave, but I just love his perspective on stuff, and he's generally a fairly, I say, a positive force in the Warhammer YouTube community, isn't he? Like, you know, he doesn't whinge about stuff, he doesn't complain about stuff. He's just very down to earth with it, and it was just an absolute joy to have him on.
I think it's good because neither of us also are particularly like, you know, I try to be positive, so do you. So I think having another influence on there, you know, to bring to the two of us and sort of all go out together about, you know, trying to talk about stuff in a nice way, right? That's what it's about. Like, none of us started YouTube to be a negative aspect in anyone's life. Right? Life's hard enough, man. Like,
exactly. You know, and I don't want to stress myself even more about, you know, by being negative, but whilst I'm doing something that I enjoy. You know, at the end of the day, I hobby and buy Games Workshop miniatures because I like it. I'm not going to sit there and just sort of slag it off and things. And again, I think that's definitely one to talk about in the YouTube episode.
I think the only thing about last week's episode is that I fell out with Tony. Didn't I?
Yeah, you did a little bit, didn't you? He wasn't.
We didn't get on.
You called him a puppet. That's like a.
I think it's because he is a puppet.
That's like a racial slur to the
puppets.
You can't call them puppets. I don't know what would you call them. The
sex object. I don't know what he gets up to in his basement. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, well, that's true.
It's slanderous.
I'm
sorry, Dave.
What are you accusing Dave of now? Like,
Dave and Tony have something going on. I don't know.
I don't
Who
know.
knows?
Maybe. I'm not going to even speculate on that.
But I have to say, for me, that's the first time I sat and spoke to Dave. Like we've messaged loads on Instagram stuff, and he actually was amazing. I had a video where all the audio went wrong, and I like paid someone on Fiverr, and they did a terrible job. And then he was like, "I'll help you," and he just did it, and it honestly sounded like I did it with no microphone, just like through my camera about 12 feet away in my big echoey room, and it sounded better than it does if I do it through my microphone and do it myself.
He's a wizard with that sort of stuff. That's
He's
what
a wizard.
That's what that's his job, isn't it?
It's good.
So
He was very generous, and he's a lovely chap. And I enjoyed it very much chatting to him. And I think I might try and get over and sneak over and play some Final Fantasy with him at some point.
Yeah,
yes, do go listen to that episode.
Definitely.
But carry on with the thank you. Sorry, I interjected.
No, quite right. And again, if you'd like to see Dave back on the channel at any point, you know, I'm sure he would agree to come back on. I think he enjoyed himself last week. And obviously, if there are any other guests that you would like us to get on the channel, I know there was one person that we mentioned last week that did have quite a few comments left asking for us to get him on, and that was Mr. Luke Fellows. So I've already kind of put the feelers out with him previously, so I think he may decide to join us at some stage, which would be very.
I felt him up previously as well. I think.
So I think that'd be good to have to get him on and have a chat and have a bit of a catch up with him and see what he's been up to, and then. I also want to say a huge thanks to the kind of community that we're sort of, I won't say we're building like a community as such, but like there's some people that are commenting week in, week out. So Al Ritchie, Katie Graham, Dinkosaurus Rex 7746, who always gives us a nice little nickname, which I enjoy every week. Whenever I see that pop up, I do enjoy those.
Oscar comments. And Bruno, or Barry and whatever,
Barry and Olivia and things. Yeah, I properly enjoy it, and I kind of he's one of the first people. I guess it's a he. They're one of the first people to comment on every video as well. So I love it. Keep them coming. Thank you very much. And then there's just a couple of really nice comments from last week as well. So Jason Patworth, I really wish more content creators highlighted the point you made here, especially to newer hobbyists. That only painting for a couple of hours is the norm, and it's so easily forgotten how little time most people have, example by yourselves, to actually hobby. It's a doom spiral to chase the perfect model when the process on video is often so warped to obtain views and likes. Great podcast, down to earth. Have my sub for both channels. Like, thank you so much for leaving like a really nice, thoughtful comment there. And I think that's, what we were trying to get across really, is that, you'll scroll through Instagram and you'll see these people that are, painting for probably 8-10 hours a day, because that's their job essentially. It's either commission painters or something like that. And of course, they're putting way more time into it than your average person. Like, I'm lucky if I get 6 hours a week to hobby. I think, a maximum.
That's massive.
Yeah, exactly. I said, if I spent all the kind of spare time that I could realistically kind of dedicate to it, I'd probably get maybe 10 hours, which isn't a huge amount really, but that never happens, because obviously when you sit down in front of the TV after a long day at work, the kids are asleep and things, you just want to sit there and not do anything.
I think that's a good point as well, actually, about I tackled it a little bit in some of my own videos. I did Leviathan box and Age of Sigmar box and kind of titled how long does it really take to paint? I think YouTube is very sensationalist, right? Mm-hmm. So let's paint this whole box in 24 hours or 12 hours, or I painted 9,000 points in 1 hour and whatever. Look, it's not real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not true. You've got editors and second people, and someone's dedicating that day to that because that is their job. Where most of us, I literally can't do 24-hour challenges anymore.
No.
Like, I have babies and kids and job. Like, it's impossible. I used to be able to get away with it a little bit, and I failed every one of them.
You broke the back of it,
though. It's true. I broke the back of them, but do you know what I mean? I failed. Like, I can't realistically paint 2,000 points in 24 hours, and I do that a lot more so than most people because of YouTube. But I think I have myself. I wanted to try and get rid of that fact, you know what I mean? The myth, because it's just not, for 99% of it. It's not real.
I
know it's enjoyable. It's not enjoyable, man. I've done 24 hours. So have you. 24 hours painting.
It's
just
awful,
horrible, miserable,
horrible.
And
horrible. I didn't even do the full 24 hours. I think it got to 5 o'clock in the morning, and I think we were due to finish at I think it was 9 o'clock the next morning, and I was just at 5 o'clock and I was like, right, I'm done now. So I had to go back to, I had to go to sleep for a couple of hours and then get up in the morning to try and finish and things. It was just horrible. And then one more comment that I really feel was really worth reading out, because it kind of embodies, I suppose, our attitudes towards kind of YouTube and commenting and things. Although I don't completely agree with everything, I really enjoyed this one. Some really well thought out and valid opinions, and a really great listen. Most importantly, I think this is a really positive conversation, especially for newer hobbyists to hear. I think when you do paint for competitions, you generally end up being surrounded by display painters or people who aspire to be display painters. So you end up with a bubble of like-minded people, and it's easy to forget your words can reach a larger audience. Anyway, really great episode, gents. So, it's nice that somebody didn't necessarily agree with everything, but rather than just coming on and being like, "Oh, you're a bunch of idiots, you're all a bunch of knobheads," and things like that, it was a very respectful reply and things. And if I was to, I very, very rarely, comment on YouTube videos and things, because sometimes I feel like, if I've got nothing positive to say, just don't say it.
Just skip.
But that was Phoenix Miniatures 4193, Phoenix Miniature Arts 4193.
He's a golden winner.
Is he?
I think he had the Lizard Man skink stegosaurus thing.
Really?
He spoke to stuff as well. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Liam,
okay.
Liam from Phoenix Miniature Arts. That's what that is.
You didn't tell me that when we were talking about it earlier.
It only just clicked. That's the name of the title on it.
Oh wow. Okay.
So he himself is in that, which is a nice different perspective to what we had, right? Neither myself, you or Dave are in that, but he himself has done that. So I think it'd be interesting to see what, we just spoke about stuff from our own opinions and what we've read and what we've seen. And, I feel like we have a reasonable standpoint to talk about things. So it's cool that someone is involved in that. Wouldn't necessarily, but that's what it's about. As I say, we want to just breed nice conversation, right? Like, everything doesn't need to be a fight on the internet, and it's okay not to agree. And
no, exactly.
Cool. Yeah, nice.
Wow. So that was a really kind of nice comment. And as I say, it was sort of slightly not, didn't agree, but we weren't being called idiots and shills.
It's nice not to call an idiot on a Sunday night.
Yeah. So that was really good. So yeah, thank you for commenting. Please keep kind of commenting. It kind of I love reading the comments as they come through. I do try and reply to as many comments as I can. Occasionally we'll miss the odd one, but no, we do tend to reply to pretty much every comment, which is pretty good. So, Ollie, do we have any sponsors this week?
So week 8, episode 8, this week's sponsor is Broadsword Wargaming over in the EU. If you need your hobby supplies, goods, models, paints, or anything else, and you're based in the EU, particularly Ireland, but we also is cheap shipping to things like Germany, France, Spain, any Zone 1 shipping places, make sure to check out Broadsword Wargaming. I think if this episode goes out on a Sunday, tomorrow might be Cyber Monday. There might be some cracking deals as well available for you. So do check out broadswordwargaming.com for your Warhammer and hobby needs.
My God, you're such a shill.
Yeah, it's chill. And also go to like Patreon, Facebook, Instagram. Oh, or one quick one there.
Yeah.
We said thank you to YouTube commenters. I'm sure there are people here, hopefully, I know there are people who listen on like Apple and Amazon and Spotify, who I don't think can comment.
Oh, Spotify. But
thank you anyway for watching.
Yeah. So,
can you?
Yeah. So there have been a couple. Next week we will read out some of the Spotify comments if
keep commenting
if anybody is commenting there. So yeah.
Nice.
So
that's our sponsor for this week. Is me.
And so that's quite a nice little sort of segue on from into the topic of this week. So what is the truth about running your own Warhammer shop? Now I say Warhammer shop. Now generally people call kind of wargaming shops Warhammer shops, don't they? Like, you're not in a Warhammer store, but you've got an
Games Workshop don't own me. No, there's no we stock Warhammer and other stuff. But Warhammer just happens to be what most people on the street would call miniatures.
And realistically, how much of your sales would you say is Games Workshop stuff?
I should have put up the analytics. Really, I should have planned for this, but quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a good chunk, isn't it?
A vast majority comes from Games Workshop sales. That's not only is that also what the most popular thing, and the thing that right now, particularly with all these, like previous episode we spoke about, like Space Marine 2 and Henry Cavill and all these things is boosting it. They're the ones that actively advertise. They have their own streaming service and all these things. So their products are also quite not expensive, because other hobbies products are also expensive. But like, a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards is like £4 or £5, whereas a pack of Warhammer set is £50. So already I need to sell 10 Yu-Gi-Oh packs to cover the cost of interest. So the majority of my turnover comes from Warhammer. So a lot of people call it a Warhammer shop, and I think for the title as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a lot. I'm not going to be honest, but there's a lot to unpack. I covered a bit of this about a year and a half ago on my channel, where maybe even more.
Yeah.
I don't promote it on my channel as much as I should, really, obviously, because that's kind of my largest social media outlet, but I don't. But there's so much to unpack, like good, bad, things people don't think about, things people assume or presume are a part of it that aren't. I think the biggest first place to start is a lot of people would say, it's the dream.
Yeah.
Right. Running your own hobby shop is the dream. And in some respects, that's true. I think in the way people think it's true, it's not. A lot of people go, you must just sit there and paint and do Warhammer all day.
Yeah. You just play games, don't you?
Just play games all day, mate, and just paint armies. I have never done or played less games than I have in the last 4 years. I've had the shop nearly 4 years now. We've knocked around. We survived COVID. We survived Brexit to a degree, although things are just changing now. And I don't know if YouTube skews the amount of hobby I do, because YouTube itself is a job that takes away my time to do my own stuff. I end up doing things for YouTube, right? So I don't know how true. I do have a good few other good friends who have their own shops, and I think the situation is the same for all of us, where like no one does anything. I've got friends over at Grim Dice Gaming in Grimsby, Imps Gaming in Lincoln. All three of us talk quite a lot together. It's quite nice because we're not directly competing either, so even that opens the doors a little bit more. But even competitors here, we talk about stuff. Sometimes we get a collective, we all have the same account manager at Games Workshop. We might have a collective moan about something, has your Leviathan turned up? No, mine neither. Great. Well, at least we're all fucked then. So
have you been shorted on this? Yes.
Yeah. Have you been fucked? Yes, so have I. Or they actually gave like a load of my boxes to someone, UPS, I think, delivered them to my competitors. I was like, great. They've got like 20 boxes that I don't have. I had to wait another 2 weeks. That was kind of awful. But there's a lot of good and a lot of bad.
So
I think
tell us to begin with about kind of like your experience setting up Broadsword then, because you say you've been doing it for about 4 years. That's kind of about the time that you moved over to Ireland.
So I started the YouTube channel unbelievably nearly 6 years ago. Wow. Over 6 years ago, I took my first studio in October in Grantham, and I did my first video about May 2019, and it'll be May 2025 of my 6-year YouTube anniversary. Is that maths right? Yeah, 6 years of YouTube. And I've had the shop since January 2020 or 2021. 2021 was I had the shop. So the shop kind of came around. I moved to Ireland.
Was that?
Yeah, that's correct.
Was that during COVID?
Just after. Yes, during COVID. So yes, just lockdown. Literally, I opened a shop during lockdown on the high street.
Wow.
But there are other factors for that I wasn't, it didn't start that way. So I moved over here, and I had my studio went from Grantham. I had a little unit there. And I moved to my partner's, Kira, my partner's parents' shed, basically. And you could it was an old barn, and it was awful. It was freezing cold in the winter and roasting hot in the summer, and it had like a hole in the wall you could just put your hand through and stuff like that, and big, it looked lovely on camera, but the reality was awful. Luke Fellows, actually from Luke's APS or Geek Gaming later, came over and helped me set up the studio and stuff like that. So I had the YouTube for nearly 2 years before I had the shop. And it's only when Brexit sort of kicked in and some companies were like, hey, you're in the EU, you've got a space. I took out a unit here in town, which is now my shop, as a studio, because I couldn't cope in the garage anymore. It was awful. And I thought I might set up a little hobby club. So my shop is 2 stories. Downstairs is the shop now, and upstairs is the studio. But initially, upstairs was the studio, and downstairs was just going to be a gaming club. I just do a gaming club for people here in Ireland, because there's nothing else to do around here in the west of Ireland, in Castlebar. And a couple of companies were like, oh, do you fancy shipping some products for us, distributing for us, because we can't do it now. It's too expensive to ship from England, invoices, VAT and all that kind of stuff was part of it. So I said, yeah, okay. So I started and did Wargames Atlantic and Geek Gaming products. And so my shop was just those. And I was working full-time. I worked full-time until March this year in social care. So I did 24-hour shifts, like 9-10 days a month in social care. So I kind of do this on the side, right? Go pack orders a bit. Kira, she was working at the pharmacy at the time as well. So I could kind of pack orders and carry on my job, and it wasn't too much. But eventually I started selling more, and I was like, okay, I need to dedicate a bit more time to this now. And we took Mantic Games in, and then we took eventually I was like, okay, now I'm shipping too much that I can't just do it on the side. I might as well open it up a bit more now. So we've got Games Workshop in about the June, I think it took me a long time to get the contract. So I'm talking so much, by the way, but
That's quite all right.
you know,
No, I'm enjoying listening.
It's an interesting story, I suppose,
Yeah.
maybe to people who haven't heard it. And I suppose actually no one's heard this. I've never really told anyone the setup. And so I took Games Workshop on, and then from then on, it kind of just spiraled really, and took up more of my time. I still was doing the job, but I was working there when I could. I only opened a couple of days a week, then I opened another day. And then in the October, I forget which year, Kira left her other job and worked there part-time, like on about 19 hours a week or something. And it just kind of all spiraled on, really. You stock more, you sell more, you spend more time.
You didn't necessarily just sort of say, right, I'm going to open a wargaming shop and then just kind of stock it all out and things. And then it just kind of like ran from day one. Obviously, it was a very gradual process, wasn't it? It wasn't this big bang launch. It was just all of a sudden you ended up with a
I was like, okay,
shop.
Now I have a shop now. How the hell's this happened? This wasn't the plan. It was not my plan when I started YouTube to run a gaming shop in the west of Ireland in the middle of nowhere, but that's what's happened. And it's kind of just spiraled from there, really. Now, fortunately, I do have, it wasn't a decision even then, a decision I took lightly. I do have previous experience with running my own business. Mm-hmm. I've run a lot of pubs in the UK. I've been self-employed for a long time. So, as far as like management and a sort of retail or customer service, not necessarily retail, I suppose, I don't know, are pubs retail? Not really, I suppose.
They're hospitality, I suppose.
Hospitality, kind of retail.
Yeah.
So I kind of did that. So used to that kind of stuff, used to thinking about things. But it built up very gradually. So the majority of my wages every week would go into stock and increasing things and taking on new ranges. And as things come out, you kind of have to do it. And the main thing is Games Workshop do a pre-order every single week. And now I do it every week, but with 2 orders in advance, 2 weeks in advance. But your stock grows. You just can't. Whatever it is up for pre-order, you just have to order.
Yeah. There'll be somebody that wants it, won't there?
And if I don't have it, they'll go elsewhere, right? So just the way of competition is, say you want 5 things and only have 3 of them, and someone else has 4 or 5, you'll just go to the 4 or 5.
Yeah, of course.
So you just lose business by not stocking stuff. So what I've learned over the years is, the more stock we have, the more we sell, because
crazy,
you have more of what people want.
Yeah.
Would you believe it? So yeah, that's kind of how we started, and it's just kind of a gradual thing. And we've learned to adapt over the years, and things have changed, as time has gone on. But yeah, and here we are, nearly 4 years. It'll be 4 years in a couple of months.
Amazing.
4-year anniversary of Broadsword.
So how's
a 4% discount?
It's a 4%. Oh, that's nice. I like it. So how's business doing at the moment then? So obviously you said that you've got a lot. You have got a lot of stuff. Like this is going to sound like really disingenuous. Like it's quite a small shop, isn't it? It's not like it
is a small shop.
You've not got like loads and loads of space like some other retailers and stuff have, but you have got a lot of stock in the shop.
So we have 2 rooms. The downstairs room is maybe 500 square feet, and that's kind of our shop front. Upstairs is about the same, which I initially had as my studio. I still use it as my studio, but I now share it as a gaming space, so people can hire out the tables. We're open Wednesday to Sunday. People can rent out the tables. I do an event every Saturday, Sunday. So it does eat into my YouTube time because it cuts out like 11 till 6, 5 days a week, right? Which is painful. When I've got video deadlines, I have to work after then with the baby now as well. 6 till 10 is gone. We have a podcast now. I do like 10 till 12. So, my time fizzles away. But yes, but out back, I have a massive space out back. I rent the property, but out back is not suitable. The kind of layout isn't suitable for a shop, and it's freezing. Right now, winter's kicked in. The outback is absolutely freezing. Now, were I to spend, invest, I don't know, I have no idea how much it costs, 10 grand, 20 grand?
Probably
in the back. Great, but it's a rental property and I don't have 10 or 20 grand to invest in it. It's not worth it where I live either. I'm not going to get, I have run Ireland's largest tournament. This is my 6th one, just went a couple of weeks ago, and I just rent a hotel. Do you know what I mean? And have conference rooms, and it's all nice there. I'd rather just do that there and keep my shop smaller. And one of the main things I've done, I suppose, in my shop is try and keep my overheads down. Now, I could move to a new premises, which would be better, more suited, better for footfall, bigger spaces, more accessible. But with that comes a much larger overhead. I'll probably need to turn over like an extra 10 grand a month or something to cover a new space, which is just crazy.
But you see a lot of retailers doing that. You'll see sort of people that have had a shop for maybe a couple of years, then all of a sudden, bang, they need the bigger shop. They want that kind of frontage on, the high street, or they want more gaming space and things. Now, especially in kind of war gaming, like, the margins on some things aren't particularly high, are they? So you need to sell, a lot of stuff to kind of
Mm-hmm.
to make enough money to kind of keep you afloat, sort of thing. And I think a lot of people do tend to overstretch themselves and kind of keep, and their overheads are too high, and all of a sudden all it takes is a couple of bad months, and all of a
Oh
sudden,
man, a couple of bad weeks
you
and
couple of
you're in
bad
trouble.
weeks, yeah, and you're in real trouble, and your cash flow goes down the pan, and then you can't order pre-orders, and then you start losing customers. It's this kind of downward spiral. And as I say, I've worked in retail for 17 years. I'm in a very different. Well, I'm in sales now, but I still work very closely with retailers, and it's probably one of the biggest issues for a lot of retailers is that they've kind of overextend themselves and try and invest too much into premises and things. So. Yeah, I think you're being wise.
I think so. I had an American guy come. We get a lot because of the channel. I think we get a lot of people who travel into Dublin or Shannon or Knock or wherever, and they love to come see us. Right? They go, it's Broadsword Wargaming. They're over in Ireland. It's a 3-hour drive from Dublin. I think for Americans that's not very far.
Yeah.
So they take a spin over and they come say hello and they go, oh, it's a bit smaller than we thought. And like, yes, I would love a larger premises. I'm 4 years in. I feel a bit more comfortable now. If I were to move, I could cover that a little bit more. Whereas, like, had I started that way, I think I'd be gone. And what is it? Like 1 in 3 businesses survived the first bloody year anyway. There's been so many shops in town. High Street's a tough place right now. We are on the high street.
Yeah.
Not in an ideal location, but we are on the high street. And I think were I to move premises now, I think my rent, Castlebar where I live, rent in Ireland particularly right now is, as it is most places, I think, but Ireland is kind of spiraling. And we're in the position where like 5 landlords own the whole town and they just don't care. Do you know what I mean? The government this year have just given out a rates grant to cover rates. They tried to increase my rates, I think 2,750%.
Oh
year.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
I managed to haggle it down to 750% rates increase, and they've now given the government have paid a grant to us to help cover. It doesn't cover it all, to help cover the rates increase to the council. So, and if I wanted to move, I think maybe the premises I want would be 5 or 6 times my current rent, which is a lot.
You need to sell a lot of Warhammer to cover that, don't you?
That's a lot of Warhammer, and I'm happy to talk some figures throughout this, not necessarily everything, but it's I think people are under a bit of a misillusion as well. Is that the word? Maybe. That say you buy a €100 box, I make €100. Like,
of course you don't.
That's obviously not true. And there's a lot of hidden costs. Even costs I didn't realize we'd have to take on. Things like, so we know, like, standard cost of VAT, taxes, card transactions, everything eats away at the percentages, free shipping, boxes, packaging, damages. The other things that I've lost so much money over the years have been like UPS, DPD, on post, losing packages, and never, still to this day, have I ever got a successful claim back on a damaged box. So say I ship to you a Christmas box for 160 quid, shipping might cost you whatever, 3, 4, 5 quid. And that goes missing. Never have I had a claim back from them. That's just gone. There's 170 quid sale gone. I now need to sell like 2 or 3 more boxes just to cover the box I lost, that UPS lost. And I've had that happen 50 times.
That's crazy.
Or damages. The box turns up like wet or soaking, and so I have to send another one, try and get a claim. Still never happened. With any company. So like that's a massive hit. And maybe lost 5, 6, 7, 8 grand, I don't know. In that, which is tough. So there's other hidden costs, man. Electricity's gone up, like internet goes, like all these things. So everything eats away at those margins. So you sell €100 box. Quid, 2 quid, 2 quid, 1 quid, 3%, 2%. PayPal fees are worse than card transaction fees. Cash is better than that. But even now, we're over our 2 year as a limited business, or 3 years now as a limited business. You take out a business bank account, which you have to have as a limited company. And after a couple of years, they just charge you for everything as well. So for every 100 I cash or every transaction I pull in, they charge me 70 cents, 50 cents, 70 cents. Like everybody eats from the pie. And then at the end of the day, I get what's left, and that covers, everything else.
So it's whatever, staff,
whatever bloody pennies I get left,
Yeah.
So it's, but that's retail, right? You've worked in retail. I think most people here have worked in retail. And I think the misconception is that it's the dream job, and it is lovely, and it's brought me a lot of freedom. But it's retail. At the end of the day, I'm working a retail job, just as everybody else.
Like I've not worked in retail in quite the same way as you have. I've been sort of more sort of slightly bigger businesses and more corporate and stuff like that. But again, like, even for those big businesses, it's tough, and all it takes is kind of a couple of little knocks to really kind of shake everybody's confidence and things, and that's reflected then in share prices and all sorts of stuff. So obviously that's magnified more because you've got less control over some of your costs as well. If your landlord decides to put your rent up or something, you've not really
rates go up.
You can't really kind of legally fight that back. So
I suppose for like you, for a big corporate business, or whatever that you might, or any bigger businesses, those costs are bigger, right? Say something cost me $1,000, it could cost you $1 million.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so all the money is just spirals, and it's still proportionate to what it is, but it's bigger. And like I say, you've got shareholders, or Games Workshop themselves have shareholders, and all these other aspects, that I don't have to work with. Fortunately, I am my own boss, but with that becomes every buck stops at me, right? I can't pass it off to anybody.
And obviously, with that as well, you are marketing, you are the director, you're the credit controller.
I work in the shop, I pack orders, I do orders, everything.
Exactly. So you have to have the skill set to do everything. Like obviously in my background, I've managerial to some extent, training to some extent, a little bit of kind of not necessarily HR, but I've been involved with HR type stuff. So I'm kind of quite versed in those sorts of processes. Now you've kind of had to pick that up yourself, and I know previously we've had conversations around kind of management styles and kind of how to approach certain things, and I think that's been sort of quite good for both of us, really, kind of to me to sort of flex some of my managerial muscle sort of thing, and for you to
learn. You've got a very different background to me, right?
Exactly.
Everything you've done is more formal, right? Well, I've had to pick things up, and I don't do everything perfectly, obviously. And I learn along the way, and staff members learn, and Kira was my sort of like assistant manager, right? But she's been on maternity since February, basically, and the maternity ends after 6 months, but 6 months and a day old baby is no different to a 6-month-old baby, right?
No,
someone has to be with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's not really managed to come back to work. So for me, at this point in time, I'm taking on jobs I used to do. Like I've done every job from the start, right? Literally started it myself. So I've gone from like retail assistant to assistant manager to manager, and kind of grown with it all. But you have to. But I'm also aware that I don't know everything, right? And I think I strive to improve all the time, but there are things I just don't know. So I've had like other professionals that have cost me for advice. What's we're looking for? Consultations. To particularly about legal matters. Where I've had to pay for that to know where I stand on certain issues and things that crop up. Because I'd be foolish not to in this day,
totally.
One big slip like that, maybe you get fined somewhere and you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to be careful too, legally.
Exactly. So I think we've kind of gone about things in slightly a different order to what we'd already
sorry,
planned.
It was always going to be this kind of video,
right.
like just randomly talking about shit.
So I think you've talked about kind of some of the negatives, which you might come back to some of the more negative stuff later on. But what's your favourite thing about having a shop then?
Yeah, I will just say all that isn't like necessarily negative. I'm just trying to be truthful, I think.
But
it's
the realities
hard to
of
phrase
it, isn't it? Like, which is
the reality, and that's what this video is, right? The reality, those are the realities, and the good and the bad, and not that they're all bad. Like a lot of these things have also bought me time in my life. I'm still in my 30s, but 40 is
getting closer,
catching up a little bit,
day.
And we've survived 4 years in business and grown each year, so. That's something I'm very grateful for. And, I had a son this year, and I've been able to spend pretty much every single day with him at a cost, employing staff or whatever, or my own time or finding time after work, but been able to be with my son every single day, which is not something everyone can say. And I don't think in 10 years time, I'm going to go, hey, I wish I'd been at work a bit more.
No, no, totally. I don't think anybody is,
sure,
But yeah, I think you've kind of grown, it's a sustainable business for you. You're not having to put in, every hour of every day to make sure that your business is going. So I think that is something really kind of commendable. And because you see some people, and if you're having to put in that amount of work and that amount of effort and time and things, is it worth it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think that every year I reassess. Every January I go, okay, this year, is this the year we don't bother anymore? Is it worth it? Is the stress worth it? And for the first 3 years, like I didn't really take a wage.
Well, you were still working full time essentially, weren't you? Doing like three was it 24-hour shifts? Like
I was doing 8 a month, 8 24-hour shifts to work.
Yeah,
24-hour shifts, which is until 10 a.m. Then at 10 a.m. the shop will open at 11. I'll go to the shop 11 till 6, back to bed, and up at 10 the next day. Like, it's relentless. But one position that's bought me is, I suppose, by being slow about it, is that I don't have, any business debts.
Which is a lovely position to be in.
Yeah. So I'm a little safer now after 4 years, but it's taken 3 years to feel moderately safe. Still, a bad month might cost me, or with the pre-orders of Games Workshop, you might, you have to order on a Monday, and you might just over order, and then you've sat on $2,000 of stock is somewhere where you don't want it to be.
And that's the thing. That's the other thing that people don't necessarily think about. Like cash flow and things. You've got stock in your shop, which is amazing. But if nobody wants to buy that,
it's just money.
It's just money that is tied up, and that's sat on your shelf, isn't it? Like it kind of really does eat into potentially then what you can spend on the following week's pre-orders. There is that. Judging pre-orders is such a delicate balance, isn't it?
I have no time to gather information. I can't sell anything before the date. I get Monday morning. I don't know what's out till you guys do Sunday night on the pre-orders, Sunday at 6:00. Then Monday morning it's like, right, put your order in. You're like, I don't know how many Tau commanders I want. Do you know what I mean? Like 2, 10, I don't know. So just to circle back into, so all of that wasn't meant to be like negative. It's just truthful, I think. It changes every day. You'd ask me, actually. If you asked me a day where I was feeling more down about it, I'd probably be more sad about it. But today I'm feeling okay.
Good.
It's been a busy day, but I'm in a good mood today to talk about it. So,
good.
Why did I start a shop, or the positives of starting a shop? The main reason I started a shop, or the main positive reason, I don't think anybody starts a hobby shop purely for money, because I think you'd start a different business, to be honest. For me, it's the altruistic, the real reason was because when I was like 12, even younger, anything between 5 and 15, I would be at Games Workshop Peterborough pretty much most days, Thursday evening gaming nights. And Alan, Jeff, Paul, all managers sort of through the 90s, early 2000s were amazing. And I've been, so I talk about them now, 30 years later. I've been influential really in like that aspect of my life at the time. I got 2 older brothers who play as well. And just like lovely memories, really. And for me as a kid or a teenager, somewhere to go, somewhere safe, somewhere I can do things I enjoy. And like where I live in the west of Ireland doesn't really have a lot.
No.
Like, we have a theatre, we have stuff, but it doesn't have something like that. So to be able to open up the doors, and we've now got people who've been coming to the shop for 2, 3, 4 years, who are all friends, they all go for beers afterwards, you see them all together. And whether it's D&D or Warhammer or Magic or whatever, these people have all met people. And I've been able to provide that space for them. Like I say, we had a lad who was 12, who's now 16, doing work experience. Like,
that's amazing.
His mum, and like, what a lovely feeling. And he's been in there since his first job. So I'm, trying to be real with it and show him the good and a bit of realistic, he's been out back washing the pots, but he's also been out front doing stuff. And that's just truth of retail, right?
Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
So to be able to offer that to someone in a safe space where he feels safe and comfortable. That's why I started the shop. So I want people to have the experience I had, which is gone now. Like, Warhammer shops don't do it anymore.
No, they don't.
And it's tough to find those things,
Well,
to have somewhere people can turn up and do something they love with people they don't know and have something to talk about is great.
Ultimately, kind of gaming space. This is going to sound like awful now, but it's kind of a waste of money essentially for some business. Especially if you've got a lot of gaming space, because it's just dead space, and in retail, generally, you want to have as much stock in as you can, because as you said earlier, if you've got more stock in, then generally people will be able to buy more from you, and then obviously your sales will potentially go up. Now, if you're dedicating space to kind of gaming tables, your rent is probably going to be higher because you're obviously you're renting more space. Your business rates will go up because that'll be dependent on your square footage of your shop, and obviously gaming tables are what sort of 6 by 4, 4x4, 6x4, depending on what game you play. So it's essentially space is kind of costing you. And do you charge for gaming space?
€3.
€3. So obviously, if people are there for a couple of hours, like it's a bargain, really.
You get all my mats, terrain. People borrow dice boxes, models. I'm fortunate that terrain and stuff is something I do quite a lot on the channel. So I feel like you get your value for £3.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you can say, "Do you want to play in a wonderful board I built?" Yes, there you go. Done.
And do you know what? And I think that's something that is that people don't necessarily see the value in. They say, "Oh, well, I'm spending in the shop anyway," but actually, do you know what? Like, you're probably not spending enough to justify the space that is dedicated to boards. But then it all feeds hand in hand. Generally, people who are at your shop a lot, playing games and stuff, chances are they will come to you to buy stuff, or if they happen to be in the shop, they'll buy a couple of pots of paint, or a new paintbrush or something. So it does kind of feed into your overall sales. But yeah, it is essentially quite a lot of wasted retail space.
I don't have a lot of space anyway. I don't have a lot of gaming tables, but for me, the reason for the gaming tables is like it's just get people in the door. I don't want to charge €10 and try and make €10 and lose 5 people who don't want to come in. There are other places that do charge significantly more. €3. I mean, man, once you take away a card fee and the VAT, it's like
it's nothing really, is it?
Not like 50p. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just a whatever, just an amount really. Mainly just to reserve the table so someone doesn't book it and not turn up and someone else does. Really. But yeah, I want people in the shop. It's nice, and when you walk into an empty shop, it's worse, isn't it? You want to walk into a shop with nice music that smells good, with a bit of buzz and a bit of crack, as they say out here, and a bit of atmosphere. So it's that really. But yeah, I suppose I use my gaming tables and spaces at the hotels. That's where I would charge tournament tickets, but that takes up a lot of time and prep in its own thing, and that's its own business outside of my shop. So yeah, space is valuable for me, and I have maybe only a third of my stock out front. I'd love a different shop, a better shop, but with that comes risk. And with a baby and stuff right now, I'm scared to make it.
Is, you're clearly doing okay and things. So why rock the boat at the moment? It's
it's next year's problem maybe.
Keep doing what you're doing. So yeah, what other good things are there about the shop then? What else have you got? You've got a lovely community over there, haven't you? You've got some.
We do.
I came over.
Regulars.
It wasn't last January. It's the January before I came over, wasn't it?
Years ago.
Like it's 2 years ago now. It doesn't feel like. I keep thinking it's like 6 months ago, but yeah, almost 2 years ago that I came over, and there was some like really nice customers that you had that obviously they're clearly your regulars, and they're just lovely people.
Yeah, and I think like part of for me with the space we have, or certainly having the shop, is making sure you cultivate or create the right environment. So everything I kind of do stems from the business, trickles down from my thoughts or my things.
Ethos,
obviously, that is my ethos. Not everything in there is everything I would always do, but my ethos is a nice place that's comfortable. It's a nice environment, so I'm not trying to breed, this like
power gamers or
power gaming, and some like 11-year-old kid comes and gets trashed by some 22-year-old with 3 Redemptors and whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not the point of it. It's a place that most people hadn't played a lot of Warhammer at the start and have learned with us, and some have improved, some and people are just enjoying playing. And you came over, I think we did a Lord of the Rings day, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So Lord of the Rings was quite new in the shop for us there. We now actually have a pretty strong Lord of the Rings community.
Yeah, which is great.
And that kind of helped kickstart it. So just having knowledgeable people on hand. So I don't know everything, but I know a bit about most things to help people play games and to teach them games. And it's a lovely outlet. Warhammer and painting and hobby is a lovely outlet, whether you like the lore or you like the animations or you like playing or you like collecting. It's a nice outlet for people. And I think creating and cultivating a space where people feel that and it's comfortable. And, lots of people from all different walks of life, really, and they have something in common to talk about. And they may not be comfortable talking to strangers anyway.
Yeah,
so at least they can have a game and you have something neutral to talk about. So like, having nice spaces and that kind of stuff, teaching people new games. Kids, man, we did a day down the library. I'd say.
Oh yeah, you remember you told me about this. Yeah.
Kira and I went down there. We managed to get a bit of babysitting for the day, and Kira ran endless painting sessions for kids. They just turn up. We had all paint pots and models and everything all on the tables, and they just turn up. Oh, if I go, yep, what'd you paint? Intercessor or Liberator or whatever, which one? Yeah, I want to paint in pink with red, and yep, sure, go at it, and we'll help them a little bit. And I was running demo games, simplified demo games. We're talking anything between like 8 and 15 or whatever, so sometimes they want a bit easier and they just want to roll some dice. Yeah, well done, you killed my rats. Yeah, good job. And like, that was lovely. We had parents coming, messaging afterwards on Instagram and stuff, going, this little Bobby said that's his best ever day he's ever had in his life. And like,
that's lovely. Isn't it?
Is that not nice? Like, you made some little kid's day, and their parents might come in afterwards, or some of them haven't. They're coming after saying, oh, he's dead into it now. He's read all the stuff. So I had a load of White Dwarf magazines. I just gave them away. Gave old models and paints and that. And they come in, oh yeah, you can have a White Dwarf magazine. Because it means so much to them.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It means less to me when I have so much of it. So, have that.
You're now like one of the guys that worked in Games Workshop Peterborough from when you were a kid.
That's what I'd like to be. I'd like someone to go in 10 years' time and go, do you know what? Ollie was all right when I was like 13, 14, 15. It's a difficult time.
Yeah.
Young, early teenagers, a difficult time in life, right? For all of us. And so, to have something like that
Yeah,
It's nice.
in sort of 10 years' time, they'll be going, "Oh, yeah, Ollie, God rest his soul. You know, he was
Yeah.
he was a nice guy, wasn't
Worked himself to death and he's dead now. Pretty much.
he?" Yeah,
Oh, he had that other full-time job and YouTube
yeah.
and a kid and the shop. He's dead now.
Yeah.
At least I got nice Warhammer there.
Yeah, I got my first white dwarf from him. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah,
But yeah,
I think
yeah,
so.
but Kira's still got the shop, and she's doing all right in it now.
Yeah,
It's like
but the little baby can have it in 20 years' time. You'll
yeah,
hate
exactly.
it probably.
Yeah,
Just
he'll probably
sell it all for nothing.
yeah,
God.
he'll probably like love football or something like that. And,
Yeah, just be a proper lad.
you'll have to
instead of
disown
a
him
nerd
or
like
something.
me.
But yeah,
Yeah, you will paint specimens.
yeah. So what's the most popular game in the shop at the moment? And I think I saw over on Threads, Kira had posted. Was it is Spearhead like becoming like really popular?
Spearhead, the new edition of Age of Sigmar, has really taken off in the shop. I think we've had 40k for what, 18 months, 17 months now.
Mm-hmm.
And people are still playing it, and our biggest events, the 40k events down at the hotel and stuff like that. But right now, Spearhead has really taken off in store. It's smaller for us with less gaming space. Having a little 22 by 30 inch board rather than a 6x4 or whatever it is a lot better. I can fit more tables, more players. So, and I think the new Age of Sigmar rules are quite easy to pick up, easier than previous. And I think Spearhead is better than Combat Patrol at the moment. So hopefully when we get the new edition of 40k in a couple of years, Combat Patrol will become Spearhead. It's not only just a simplified version, it's its own game, but you can still move on.
Yeah.
Whereas Combat Patrol is just 40k, but smaller basically, with slightly simplified rules. So that's really popular. Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
It's a pretty popular card game. A lot of shops I know sort of cut away from things like Warhammer and move more into cards because it's more profitable. The stock value of holding that is less and the space required is less.
Mm-hmm.
And the releases are quite regular and they're less to buy. So it's easy for you to go in and spend £5 than to spend £50.
Yeah, yeah. But obviously,
there's that side of it.
When you build up a bigger sort of customer base, you've got more people coming in. They're spending less, but actually you've got people buying potentially more, and obviously you've got more people because you've got more space to allow them to.
20 people spending £5 is the same as 2 people spending 50, right?
It's
the same. So that, and then D&D as well. D&D is very popular. I think it goes like, Warhammer, whether that's 40k, Age of Sigmar, D&D and Magic are all kind of around the same vibe. D&D is lovely because we have a couple of people that don't work for us, but they're regulars, and I feel like I know them quite well now, and they're lovely. They help out a lot with D&D days, and they do DM and do introduction days, and they've done days for kids and stuff like that. So they might do a one shot, and then people make their own groups. They might go play Fallout or Pathfinder or whatever games. So it's pretty good. Yeah, so they're the main things, and then we have like Pokemon and stuff. Kids tend to collect that more than play it. Mm-hmm. Yu-Gi-Oh! People tend to play more than collect, and then other games, smatterings of Shatter. We've got Marvel Protocol's quite popular in our store. Yeah. Lord of the Rings is quite popular. Games I love like Blood Bowl and things like that, not so much, but people still play them. A lot of people collect, don't they? These days.
Of course.
Yeah, a lot of everything goes in the shop, but it's in the shop. It's D&D, Magic, and Warhammer.
Crazy. No, I love it. Love it. So what you've gone through obviously some of the challenges. Is there something that you really kind of like that kind of boils your blood about the shop, or anything that you really kind of hate or really kind of frustrates you?
I'd say one of the biggest obstacles is as I work so relentlessly hard to try and keep customers happy, right? Mm-hmm. Which they order something, get it packed, next day delivery with on post. Now we've moved shipping companies a lot. We've tried GLS, DPD, DHL, UPS. I'm now with on post, which is our Ireland's like mail service.
Yeah.
I won't dare say Ireland's Royal Mail because that feels pretty bad.
Just instantly lost a load of customers.
Amazingly. So I use on post, and they offer next day delivery with tracked and signed shipping with insurance, which still never made a claim. But the main issue I get is we're the last in line behind the customer, right? So say you buy something, mm-hmm. I should have it, right? And if you pre-order something, I should have it on the date that comes out, the 19th of whatever day or whatever. But then behind me then is the distributor. So whether that's Asmodee or Bliss or Games Workshop or Mantic or whatever company, right? I have to get it from them. And then if it's something like Halo recently, right, which is a Kickstarter, or Worms, or I don't know, anything like that, right? Then there's another company, whoever produces it, behind the distributor. Mm-hmm. So it might go from like the factory where it's made to the producer, to the distributor, to us to the customer, right? And in between each of those is shipping, right? So one delay back from one day costs another one 2 days, costs another 3 days, costs another 4 days. So some customers might buy a load of stuff and be like, hey, shipping dates today, I've not heard anything yet. Where's my package? And understandably so, I haven't got it, right? So I say, I haven't got it. I can see it's on the way with DPD, or it's been a delay. And sometimes these delays, what did we have recently? Deep Rock Galactic from Asmodee. I think Mood Publishing made that. I have no idea where the delay was. It was April. I got it in November, October.
Jesus. Yeah.
The customers have bought that at the start of the year and going, hey, where's my thing? I'm like, I messaged whoever the distributor was, Asmodee, loads of times. And they're like,
I remember telling you about that one.
So I had to go to my customers. I literally have nothing to tell you. Like, absolutely refund, no problem at all. A refund does cost you money, but absolutely refund if you wish, or you want to hold on or wait. And they wait, and we got them out eventually. But that looks bad on me. And every time that kind of happens, whether it's Games Workshop, who ship every week, every time I miss a pre-order, I feel like that may cost me a customer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And customers are so hard to get anyway. And I terrified of like bad reviews and all these things. So I go over and beyond. Like, I've done things where like something's turned up at 4:48 and the collection's already been, but I'll drive out at 4:56 to the post office to get there before 5 to make sure they get that ship before the 5 o'clock shipping. Or I've driven to like the nearest town to drop something through someone's door.
Yeah.
Because that's how much I care. Because as a small business owner, you do. Whereas like a bigger company, Amazon, people don't really care. They don't give a shit. Amazon don't care, right? It's just,
of course they don't.
100
It's
people
a bit faceless. Do you know what I mean? And they're going through so many, through so many customers. But yeah, obviously for you, it is that much more difficult to fight for your places in terms of a shop, isn't it? If people Google a Warhammer shop in Ireland, there's going to be various other shops that are kind of you're competing against, and if you let them down, then it will leave that bad taste in their mouth, and chances are they may never come back to you if they have that bad experience. So,
and that can be a shipping company as well. Like, I've had shipping company that gets lost, right? I don't even know it's got lost. I can't follow every single order. They might say a week later, hey, where's my thing? And I go, oh shit, it's just gone. And they're like, oh, I've waited a week for this now. I'm like, okay. And I might not have the product to resend them either. If I do, I'll resend it and I'll worry about the other bit later. But I might not have the same products in, right? I don't carry multiples of every single thing. I think we just hit over 5,000 individual products in the shop now.
Wow.
5,000 individual things. So I don't have always multiples of everything. Or if something sells out, like in a Christmas box, I don't have one to send to you. Then you're disappointed because you didn't get it. And you can't get it anywhere else.
You thought they'd got it from you, and then So no, I can totally see.
That's my biggest bugbear, really, is stuff like that, because I feel like I work really hard to try and make sure everything's happy, and I'm not always in control of it. That sucks.
So based on obviously, we talked about some of the good stuff, we talked about some of the bad stuff. What advice would you potentially give to somebody, either yourself kind of 4 years ago, or to somebody that was interested in setting up a wargaming shop? What advice would you give them?
So I've had a couple of these questions, and in my last video I put out a couple of years ago, and I had some interesting comments, and I think a lot of people related to that. I try to be truthful in a good and bad way about everything. And I know this may sound more negative maybe than I'm trying to make it here, but I'm just sort of talking off the cuff, right, at midnight. And there are lovely, lovely aspects to having your own place and working for yourself. And there are endless pressures too, right? But I think that works with any self-employed, any business. And I think a lot of people related to the stuff I said in my last one, my video a few years ago, because they have their own businesses, but it's not in the same field, but it doesn't matter. The pressures are the same. The stress is like, honestly, after this, I've probably got 2 hours work to do. Right? And then I'm up again tomorrow to film at 9 drop the kid into school at 8. Do you know what I mean? It has to be done. And you have to, like, yes, you can employ the people to do jobs for you. I don't have a HR team. That wouldn't get happen. So, I don't have a marketing specialist or whatever. So you've got
an accountant, but you don't have a
I'm an accountant, you pay for them.
And you pay your accountant, don't you?
They do something once a year and then charge me a couple of grand and then piss off and talk to them next year. So I don't have my own team of people, so I have to do stuff. And advice I give, I think you have to be very much like expecting things you didn't expect. I've learned a lot along the way. I look back at things I did 3 or 4 years ago and think, oh my God, I can't believe I used to do that way. Whether that's shipping. I remember I got my first order and I was like, how do I send a box? Do you know what I mean? How do I send a package? Who do I give this to? Like, how do I get this to the customer? And I know that sounds easy. And yes, I already have things in place, but those things improve over the years. And the service I'm now able to offer is better because you ship more, you get better prices, you know? And shipping, I took a hit for years on shipping, where now I don't make money, but I don't take, I don't lose a lot of money. Sure, I do free shipping, so that does cost me money. But do you know what I mean? Where like, it might cost me £7 or something, and I'm charging £5 or £5.50 because that's the market value. Yeah. I don't think people realize just how much work is involved and how much stress. And I think it does involve, I think you have to be the kind of person to expect that. And particularly with a hobby shop, like it's retail. At the end of the day, you're working in a retail shop.
Totally.
Although it's hobby stuff and great, it's lovely to talk about that rather than, I don't know, washing machines or whatever. You're talking about Warhammer stuff, but you're still working in retail.
That's what I kind of used to say. I know obviously we've already said it, that I've got a very different retail background, but it was kind of specialist retail that I worked in previously, and it was pet retail. And a lot of people used to come to us sort of thinking, and it's probably the same with Warhammer and things, that people expect to come in and literally be painting and playing games and stuff with people, which isn't necessarily the reality. People used to come to us sort of thinking, I get to sit and cuddle rabbits all day, and it's like, absolutely not. That maybe sort of 5 or 10% of the job is kind of working directly with the animals, but actually the rest of it is going to be doing your regular retail stuff. So putting stuff on the shelves, cleaning, bringing in deliveries, being on the till, all the kind of the more mundane stuff that you would expect to do in any retailer. Ultimately retail is retail regardless of what you're selling.
Correct. Yeah, I have a wonderful employee with us now, James, and I think when he started with us, I think he was a little more surprised at like how much like boring stuff there is to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like everything needs stock checking constantly. The other issue we have, I suppose, is we sell a lot online. You need to maintain your website, and every week you're adding products. And like I feel like we've outgrown it a few times where the menu, I wasn't prepared for the ranges we take in, so I have to update it again. And like now I know I need to do a lot of work on it because this year, not having Kira doing that, it slipped a little bit. And I think it's still functional and it's fine, but it could be better. And that's like the first thing customers will see is that. So there's like maintaining that, man, is a job all on its own. Like that's what takes so long. And any mistakes there, any stocking mistake, again, I have to email a customer say, sorry, I don't have whatever you've ordered, through an error of some form or a damaged product that didn't get noticed or we haven't got it in or whatever, is again another damaged relationship, isn't it? And you have to try and foster all of those so carefully. So retail is retail, but there are wonderful things to it too, which you said a little bit. But I think for me, I think now, nearly 4 years in, I think it's brought me a little freedom. I didn't have that a few years ago. I had the job and this and YouTube, and it was kind of just all encompassing. It still is. There's still days now where I get a little overwhelmed by it all. And I often think, have I made a big fat mistake? Like, have I ruined everything? Right? Because like everything I have is tied up in that shop. And like, I don't know, like I'm still only ever a bad month or whatever. Like they say, I think in business, you should be able to afford 6 months of bad times. That's just not realistic.
No.
I'm sorry, but
the thing is, you always want to reinvest back into your business, don't you? At the end of the day, and that's obviously where how you've grown your stock levels and things, and you're never necessarily taking big payouts from the business or anything like that.
The back of my car is like falling off. Do you know what I mean? My shop is kind of a bit shit. Like,
but obviously you are reinvesting back into the business and into your stock holding, and the shop. It is lovely. It's a lovely little environment in there and things.
It's clean. It has nice music. It's warm.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that kind of goes a long way towards it. And I think we've talked about this before, but like the aesthetics in a shop as well, like that plays a much bigger part than people necessarily give it kind of credit for. Even though it's like a wargaming shop where you might just pop in and out, actually if it's a warm, really sort of like nice, welcoming environment and things, then people are more likely to want to spend time there. And I know, when I visited, I felt like instantly at home in the shop. Do you know what I mean? I didn't feel like it was. Not that it didn't feel like a shop, but it felt like a cozy place to go and play games. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, I think you've done a really like wonderful job of making that sort of environment there.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think that for me comes from like the previous experiences of a pub. I took a pub on over in Derbyshire, and I remember going in the door, and I think I'd done some work with like an area manager at the time, before I took my own lease there. And I remember always thinking, like, you walk into a pub, like, what's the first things that hit you when you go to a pub? First thing, what are the barriers to getting you through that door? First thing is, like, how does it look on the outside?
Yeah.
Right? If it looks shit, probably not going in. If you get past that, what's the front door like? Is that shit? Probably not going in. Then when you go in,
is it cold?
Like, what's the atmosphere?
Yeah.
Is it cold? Is there any music? Is there like 3 people who just stare at you and no one's saying anything? Then when you get to the bar, what's there? Are there like 8 taps with glasses over because they don't sell any of it? And is it the back empty? Do you know what I mean? Like, and they've got like just rum and 1 lager. And then when you get that, is the service good? Is the price good? And there's so many barriers to think about, you know, and we have the same online. Is the website good? Is it functional? Does it get the product? Does it work? Like,
is it easy to find?
Are things easy to find?
Yeah.
Are prices good? Are you competitive? Do you do free shipping? You know, and all these things. There's so many areas I would love to improve constantly, but I often feel like a lot of the time I'm just putting out fires. I have to make sure things work. I have a list like 100 things long, right? I never get past like
the top 5. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. Need to make sure we're selling stuff. That's number 1. Right. So, but for me, for the shop, that's the first thing I wanted to do. And it isn't ideal. We're upstairs. Right. So the first thing you do is you're greeted by a set of stairs. Not ideal, but I can't change that. So what can I change about that? I can make sure it's brighter. I can make sure it smells nice. I can make sure the carpets are hoovered, you know? And when you get up there, is it just a disorganized rabble? I could have more stock on show, but I'd sacrifice like cleanliness and ease of looking at stuff, right?
Yeah.
I could just dump a big pile of boxes in the corner. Who's going to go through that anyway? Who's going to go, like, it's awkward enough when stuff drops or whatever. So having things, you know, as a customer, you might not feel comfortable just grabbing loads of things and moving shit about. You wouldn't. So if it's not easy to grab,
you're not going to grab it.
You're not going to sell it.
Yeah.
So you've always got to think about, and then, you know, you've got kids and stuff, man, teenagers and stuff coming in who might not be used to like going into retail shops on their own, or, you know, like, so all of these barriers are barriers to entry into the shop. So I've tried my best to do my best with that for what we have now, but I don't have the perfect place at all. And there are lots of things I'd love to have. But as I said earlier, that comes with that risk taking. And I'm not in a position in my life right now where with the baby and stuff where I really want to take a risk. I don't want to sacrifice the potential of my business in 2 years' time. Go, that was the biggest mistake I ever made. We're in debt. We're in trouble. We've got to close, right?
Yeah.
But if the business grows next year, we might be in a position where I can do that, you know, and I'm safer now. I'd be safer now taking a bigger premises than I was 4 years ago. Had I taken a big loan out, which I know people do, I may have got here quicker. But then, like, is paying interest on a loan to make that sit on a shelf as product that may or may not sell? That's not good business, right?
Yeah.
If it in general, not always, but
and I suppose that, you know, that debt also has like a little bit of a psychological effect on you as well, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? And, you know, I've been sort of debt free and not kind of owing loads of money to other businesses and stuff, like, you know, it's a good place for you to be.
Yeah, it has cost me speed of growth and probably customers, and, you know, it lets competitors get a foot ahead. So there is value in doing that. And I know there were a lot of like COVID grants a couple of years ago and things like that, which were like interest free and stuff. So, you know, if you can get that, you know, and there are credit limits with businesses,
but now
limits
these are all starting to be collected and things now, aren't they? And you know, you're now starting to hear about businesses that have almost forgotten about them, and all of a sudden they're in a bit of trouble, sort of paying those COVID loans and stuff back. So
I think I'm fortunate. I say fortunate. I don't know, I'm sound like an arsehole, but like, I've worked hard to get that, right? Like, I'm fortunate to be in the position where, like, were I to close tomorrow, I don't have to worry about big debts.
Yeah.
You know,
totally.
Yes, there's some credit limits and stuff, but that's kind of just normal
by the by. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not like, okay, or I'm not in the position where I have to continue on to cover the debts to then worry about closing in 3 years' time.
Yeah,
I mean, that'd be miserable.
No,
so,
I get you.
Not that I want to close, or that I think I will, but it's such a deep
all these
topic.
Things that you have to think about when you're running your own business. So should we move on to something a little bit more positive? And
yes, sorry, I didn't. I hope people find that interesting. It's just an insight into running your own business, into hobby shops, and I do love it. And today I love it because it's been a good day.
What's your best-selling product? Warhammer, obviously, but is there like a, you know,
it's Space Marines? Is there a particular product? I'd say, man, right now, starter sets, Kill Team, Recruit Edition, whatever it's called, introductory sets, paint sets, because I think so many new people are coming into the hobby, and they're good value. So I would recommend those to people, and we spoke about this before in episode 2 or 3. I would recommend those to a new person. I'd say, hey, never got anything? I can do an introductory set for less than €50. We are cheaper than Games Workshop, and that comes with a couple of models, some rules, some paints, a brush. Sure, pick up a second brush, and the two of you can sit there, brothers or whatever, can sit in hobby away or friends, split the box, 25 quid each.
It's bargain.
Pretty low entry. What a set. Kill Team Starter set. Previous edition and this edition have sold crazy because they're such good value.
Yeah. I was going to say that the new one's awesome, isn't it? Is it about 50 euros, 60 euros?
Yeah, probably pounds. Euros a bit more. I can't remember what it is. Maybe it's like
50, 60 quid, something like
something.
that. Yeah. But it's a wicked little box. I absolutely love it. And then paints and stuff like hobby supplies, are they sort of fairly ticking pretty well?
Paints, I've just started. We have the Games Workshop rack. We have the two thin coats. I have all the army painter stuff. I've got all the Vallejo, both model color and game color. I've just got Gamers Grass, full range and rack in now. Yeah. It's so good. I'll have AK Interactive as the next expansion for us now, because we don't have any like enamels and oils and pigments in the shop. I'd like to offer everything. Not everything will be as deep as other places, sure, but if I can offer a bit of everything, then great. And there are things I don't generally stock things I don't personally recommend or don't think are good. I wouldn't want to waste some money that way anyway.
Oh, you disappeared from
me. Okay?
Yeah, you're back.
I'm back. So yeah, paint's also kind of universal, right? Like I get people coming who paint pottery or paint old cars or whatever. And no matter what game you're playing, you need paints.
Yeah.
So having full paint racks is quite nice. An empty paint rack looks bad.
Yeah.
I personally.
I think it does. And there's nothing worse than walking into a hobby shop and you're after like a couple of colors or something and you go and look at the paint rack and it's like half empty or something. I find that so frustrating. And again, like, you know, we were talking about those barriers to kind of entry. Like now I'll be reluctant to go back to those shops and to even visit them because I wasn't able to get what I wanted last time. And it might have been that they just had like a massive rush on pallid witch flesh or something. But
yeah, it does happen. We had a week where Games Workshop didn't deliver to us for a week, and we had a lot of paint sales, and I had like 10 gaps in my paint rack, which I hate. I've got one now. But you know, you can't keep them all in stock all the time. But you know, you want the majority, particularly core things, man. You need you can't be running out of Nuln Oil.
No, exactly. Exactly.
Like bread and butter, aren't they? Really. So I'd actually love to hear people's opinions, listeners here on gaming shops and what they feel makes a good gaming shop or a bad gaming shop, or what experiences they've had, or like what are your barriers to entry? You know, like checking my website out. I know it's not perfect. I like to think it's functional. I'd certainly love to do a lot better. And with that, I like that is my main point of sale. That's probably my next, after this last rack, probably my next investment, right? Is improving the website.
Was I the first customer on your website?
You were.
I was, wasn't I?
Dice.
Yeah, I did. Lots of dice.
You dice.
That was it. Yeah, I was going to say.
I
remember you going, can you have a look at my website? I was like, I'm going to go and buy something now. I don't think you had an awful lot on.
We weren't even like that friendly at the time. Not that
I thought
we were kind of like friend adjacent.
I'll throw him a bone, like, you know, I'll help him out a little bit. And yeah, I bought some dice from you. Yeah, I still use them quite a lot.
They're not bad. The little broadsword dice, 6 turns up, mate. And
yeah,
that's what you want, isn't it?
Exactly.
They're limited now. You won't get them again now.
No.
Different set next. So
no,
that's it. Now you hold on to them. And when I've got 1 million subscribers, they might be worth something.
When you pass away, I'll sell them.
Keep all this footage, man. It's worth it when I die.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to hear people's opinions on hobby shops. And I've had people come in and be like, "Oh, you should have a bigger shop." And I like, yes, sure. But like, and then I had a couple come in. They were telling me about that. You know, they got a friend who, or someone they knew opened a big shop, and it was an amazing shop, and it was an amazing place. And I was like, "Oh, nice." They go, "Yeah, it's closed down now, though." Like,
yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
wonderful.
That's how to do business.
Interesting trick.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I think we've covered all the questions that I had for you. You know, obviously, you know, retail is, especially at the moment, it's an ever-changing kind of area. You know, I think people's expendable cash at the moment is kind of getting more and more squeezed. You know, the price of I know certainly over here, you know, there's been massive inflation and, you know, rents are going up and things. So I think people's expendable income is probably, you know, on a downward spiral. But you know, it's good to hear that you know, you're still going from strength to strength, and it's clear that, you know, whatever you're doing in your business is absolutely working for you. And you know, you know, as you said earlier, you know, every January you take stock on what's working and what's not working. You know, you influence those things that you can potentially change. And I think that's from a retail standpoint, that's you do what's called a SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and you kind of you look at those, and then you adapt to, right, okay, so we're not doing so well on that, so let's actually do a little bit better, or actually that's an opportunity, let's go after that. That's a threat to me, so what can I do to limit that threat? And I think that's absolutely the best way to run a business, really, is to try and improve things, make things better. And if there are things that you can't influence, then it's what can you do to limit the influence of external things.
I think that's super important. I think you're right. I think taking analysis, and you do that in every aspect of your life. You should do that in your jobs. You should do that in everything. You should do that with yourself if you can.
Yeah.
In a not in a horrible way, but in like a personal aspect.
Take stock of what you've got.
Take stock in life, and enjoy what you have, because not everything stays forever, right? And enjoy where you are. And I'm so fortunate. Really, one comment that really stuck with me from the last video was, I remember a person said, they worked with their partner in their business. I'm sure I told you this before, maybe.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Business, and they got to do that every single day. They got to spend their time with their partner for extra 40 hours a week. Their business goes down. They both work different jobs. They lose 45, 50 hours a week with their partner. And I work with my partner, and that's not always easy for people. And, comes with its own territory. But I'm very fortunate, really, that, I get to work with Kira, or did, most days. And I'm very grateful for what I have, really, and for what I've managed to achieve myself. And yes, like, things are never perfect, but as long as you're striving to improve, I think that's all you can do. And like you said, there are factors I can't affect. Right now, the premises I'm in is probably no longer quite suitable for me. I've probably outgrown it now, but that will come in time, right? So what can I change? How can I make it better?
Yeah, exactly.
And what can we offer, and what can we do to improve things? So I think constantly trying to improve. I think the minute you stop trying to do that, I think you fall behind.
Definitely.
I think that's so important. So
we almost got a little
personal improvement, right?
We got a little bit philosophical at the end there, didn't we?
Sometimes I feel like we do that. I feel like I talk a lot of shit most of the time.
It's like we start talking about like Warhammer, and actually it's like lessons for life, and how to be a better person and things. So
it's important, man. You've got to look after yourself. You've got to look after your business. You've got to look after whatever's important to you. And that's the one thing, like you say, like, expendable income is on the down, and retail, street retail doesn't do that well right now. And there's a lot of other factors that hit these things, but I suppose we find time for the things we love, right? And we find money and time for the things we love. And if I had, whatever my budget is, and I could afford X per week, I'd probably just spend it on Skyrim re-releases, or Skyrim Anniversary Edition, Skyrim 20th Anniversary Edition, Skyrim Mega Edition, Skyrim re-Skyrimmed, or I'd spend it on Warhammer.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we've covered everything that we were going to cover. Anything else you want to add, Ollie?
You do some talking now.
Shall I do some? You've done quite a lot of talking. So, I don't think there's anything else we're going to add. So I think we'll kind of bring this episode to a close. So thank you so much for watching and for listening along. If you do want to support us, then we do have a Patreon where you can get early access to these episodes, where we don't have major issues with exporting videos like we did last week. So apologies. But yeah, if you do want to support us, this does kind of take up a bit of a chunk of our time. There are some expenses and stuff involved with it. At the moment we are making nothing out of this whatsoever. But if you do want to help us kind of justify spending the time that we are spending on this, then please go and check out our Patreon. We both have YouTube channels as well. So I've got Benji's Hobbies, and Ollie has got Broadsword Wargaming. We've got loads of wargaming content there. Ollie's got more than me, and he posts more often than I do. But
marginally,
I am just marginally. But I will have more content coming out soon. So please go and check out both channels. If you're in the EU and you are wanting any wargaming paraphernalia, then make sure you go and check out Broadsword Wargaming, the shop. And I think that's it. So
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think make sure you guys are commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing. We still want to get that 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
So
we're a big milestone for us.
We're aiming to get to 1,000 by Christmas. So we've got another 3-4 weeks before then. So we're about 625, 650, something like that. So we're doing all right. We're on our way there. But we would love to get to 1,000 before Christmas. And at the moment, 60% of you guys that are watching at home are not subscribed. So just make sure you go and
subscribe.
Go and subscribe. Just click that subscribe button, and it'll be a huge help to us. So thank you very much for watching and listening, and we will see you
Woo!